So whilst you're here, could you share some more of your secrets on writing successful macros?
Well, how long have we got? Seriously though, I can give you a few tips.
So, what are the keys to success? Well, remember when designing macros to try and make your macros fit the purpose it was designed for and be as easy to use as possible. Try and use keyword parameters where possible. This makes the macro easier to call and allows us to define defaults. Always validate these parameter values as well, keeping an eye on case sensitivity and also whether macro quoting functions should be used to mask any special characters a user may enter. The number of mandatory parameters required should be kept at a minimum, and ideally your macro should perform its function without creating any needless work tables or macro variables that persist beyond the macro's execution. Make sure to program defensively. All %if statements should have a final %else statement to catch any unanticipated conditions. Every branch of your code that ends abruptly due to lack of information should terminate cleanly with a %return statement and be accompanied by appropriate error messaging courtesy of %put statements. Finally, make sure to test the macro fully so that there are no surprises for either you as the programmer or the user.
Well, those all make sense, but what can you do to get the detail of the syntax right?
Well, there are a few things to consider.
Here are a few quick tips of things to look out for when syntax checking our code. Make sure each macro statement and data step and proc step statement is closed by a semicolon. If you're using a %if statement to test a condition and write a single base SAS statement, it may be important to use two, one for the %if and one for the base SAS statement. Make sure all keywords used on macro statements are prefixed with a %sign. So a macro if then do should be written as %if, %then, %do. Each %do keyword should be closed with a %end statement, whether it forms part of a %if statement or represents a loop. If you must embed macro definitions, make sure to close each macro with a %mend statement. Adding the name of the macro after %mend can considerably aid the clarity of your program in this case. Make sure to test for missing values using the %string open bracket close bracket syntax. This represents the best way of capturing missing values as part of a conditional test. Avoid all punctuation characters when typing macro comments, or in fact any comments for that reason. Remember to use local macro variables where possible. Make sure to include a step boundary between the use of call simput to create a macro variable and the resolution of that macro variable. Be careful with macro comparisons. Remember the implied %eval function used on the %if statement can lead to problems when performing floating point comparisons. And finally, don't forget to use the %string technique when outputting errors, warnings and notes. This ensures that when searching the log for genuine messages, you don't accidentally land on the %put statements that generate them.
Some really useful tips there. I think we can all take something from that. Well, we're just about out of time, so I'd like to say thanks to our special guest.
You're welcome.
That wraps up the show for today. Thanks for watching.
In this module, we have seen a number of best practices that should be considered when writing macros. We've also seen some important information on how to write macros that are error-free and easy to follow and maintain.
Please download the exercises and the course data that accompanies this module from the Amadeus website. These exercises provide an excellent opportunity to practice and apply the techniques covered. That concludes the Macro Language Best Practice e-learning module. Please read through the accompanying documentation and visit our website for details on further modules within this course. Thank you for watching.